Hello ladies, I'm Mrs. Sherman and I have a blog which I will print below, and you can click it and go and visit this video and make a comment. I don't have videos on the YouTube channel right now because I don't want to monitor it. And I also would encourage you to participate in the other conversations on my blog and look at my sidebar at all my friends and go and visit them too. This video and all these videos are created to give homemakers some support and some encouragement. Because if you've decided to be home and or maybe you've always been home, but there's just that sense of being sidelined or not feeling that you're part of anything. And that's because we work alone. You cannot take care of your house and your family in a group. You have to be able to manage it alone, but you do need some voice and some people to talk to and or listen to. And I would just encourage you to use this as a background video and take it with you and clean up a bedroom, wash the dishes, unload the dishwasher, hang out your laundry, or just anything else. They usually last 25 to 30 minutes. And when the children are growing up, this is the fun part, because I used to have them bring in a book to read to me while I was doing something that they couldn't do that was maybe a little more repetitive, and I needed company. And also when my children were real little, I brought them in the room that I was working in, and I gave them little children's tools to pretend that they were also cleaning house, and I gave them the washcloths to fold and a little tiny laundry basket. And so they moved around with me. I didn't wait till my children were taking a nap in order to clean house. And sometimes I would bring them in and set them in a laundry basket and give them some toys to play with. And we just enjoyed, and housekeeping wasn't something that was a terrorizing event like it used to be, that mothers couldn't clean house unless they were screaming at the rest of the family. They would wait till it got so bad they got mad, and then they cleaned it up. We don't want to be like that. We want to approach it in a happy and loving way. And I hope that these videos will help you. I'm not sure of the effect that I'm actually having, and I hope I'm not leading anybody astray. I have a different attitude towards work than a lot of people do, and I am not of the I'm trying to think, the group of people that made life so miserable for everybody. I wonder if it was the Puritans. They didn't like color, and they didn't like festivities or anything like that. And I don't want to blame them, but I'm from the other group that believes that life should be a discovery, should be enjoyable, should be loving, should be a reflection of our wonderful Creator, and we should be creative, and we should be happy. And this doesn't mean that we will not have things, sadness or difficulties. We were in our ladies' Bible class the other day. We sang a song, and it was Dear Lord and Father of Mankind. I don't know if you've heard this. I will try to post it in the a cappella version on my blog. And some of the words were drop thy still dews of quietness till all our striving cease. And I want you to think about that. And so let's just start at the beginning here. I've got some words here that are supposed to trigger my memory. And first of all, how to begin. You get up in the morning, and some of you who are seasoned homemakers will get up in the morning and say, Lord, tell me where to start. What do I do? Even if you've left the house in very good condition the night before and there's no work to do the next day, where do you start? There has to be something some point at which you start. And this is where I say, no matter what time you got up, and no matter what part of the day it is, if you have not showered and gotten dressed, fixed your hair and your clothing, and become presentable for this wonderful place you're in, and you'll be making it into a wonderful place, and that's why you're going to have to dress up for it. Ladies, think of the impression you're leaving on your little ones. You know, sometimes they're only less than 2 feet high, and what do they see? They see you wearing spandex and ugly tennis shoes. That's the level of their eye right there. Start dressing yourself up. Even dress your feet up. Wear some nice shoes. And these days, how much, what kind of heavy duty clothing do you actually need at home? Our homes are relatively carefree these days. We don't have to get down on our hands and knees and scrub the floor. We don't have to take the rugs out and beat them on the line. And yet, if you look back at the pictures of the Victorian ladies, some of the black and white photos of them hanging their clothes on the line, washing their clothes outside, they were wearing long dresses. They didn't feel they had to wear overalls and combat boots and that sort of thing in the house. And I know I'm exaggerating a little bit, but honestly, we look at women today and they live in, most of you live in better houses than I live in, and I dress up for my little hovel. And so just do a test, as I told you in a previous video, and see how you feel. Go right now and get ready and get dressed and look in the mirror. You know, it's so important to arrange your hair, and if you wear makeup, to cover up the flaws and the eyesore stuff, so other people won't have to be grossed out by something on your face that's bleeding or anything like that. So it's so important because you get to look at your eyes, you get to look in the mirror, you get to look to see if you've hardened a little bit. Have you ever thought about that? Look in the mirror. This is my courage. This is my morning tea. I don't drink or smoke or have any vices, but I have tea and I have fabric. So that's my excuse. If I take someone into my fabric room and I show them my little shelf that has the stack of fabric that hasn't been used yet, I'll say, I don't smoke or drink. That's my vice. Okay, ladies. So think about what people have to see, and think about also, I was reading this old book about the language of flowers and flowers. I couldn't even tell you the name of it, but it was a quote by a woman who said, I'm going to have to dress extra carefully today because I'm going to see the new flowers that have bloomed. Now, isn't that wonderful? You might not think so, but so if you, now because of the comments I get that sometimes I don't publish, if you do not believe in putting rinse on your hair, highlighter rinse on your hair, even the organic, and you don't think you should do anything to your hair, and you don't believe in using hairspray, and you don't believe in wearing any kind of makeup, eyebrow pencil, lipstick, foundation, anything, if you don't believe in that, that's fine. I'm not going to pick on you if you don't want to do that. I don't care. If you're happy, that's fine. And I'm not going to bother you. So I would appreciate if you don't believe in that stuff and you notice that I have it and I'm wearing it and I'm older, I'd appreciate if you just leave me alone. I've got a lot to do and I don't want to argue with you about it. I have worn cosmetics since I was 16 years old, and I wear them, and it was basically for coverage of a very, very troubled complexion back in the 1960s. And I noticed that a lot of people were having these problems back then, and I'm wearing it the very style, the very technique I did when I was 16 years old. I'm wearing my hair the way that I did when I was 16 years old. I am up for changes, but right now I'm too busy to think about it. But anyway, if you don't like it, there are plenty of blogs you can get on where you can find people that are just like you. Isn't that nice? We have all that freedom and all that variety here. And so let me move on to the after you're dressed. And by the way, I hope you're carrying this around and you are not sitting here watching me. There's nothing to watch. I'm not performing. I'm not going to show you anything. And so the things that you need to think about after you're dressed is, what is the area in your house, or what are the areas in your house which need the most care regarding cleanliness and sanitation and smell. And I would say your dishes and your laundry, keep that done and look at that every day, because you cannot, that will, especially dish towels, you start stacking up a few dish towels in a little basket in your laundry room, they'll smell bad. So if you can, keep your laundry done and keep your dishes done and your sink clean. Now, you can put a few drops of some kind of scented something. I think probably even orange essential oil or something. You can put a drop down your drains, and I don't think it harms them. And it helps a lot when you get kind of a sour smell. But and the other thing is your floors. So you've got your dishes, your laundry, and your floors. If you can keep those things clean, you can have a fresher scent in your house and a greater sense of satisfaction. So, I'm going to quote a scripture to you. I can't tell you exactly where it is, but I think it's in Ecclesiastes. And it says, and there's also another one in the New Testament, very similar. Whatever your hand finds to do, work with all your might, as unto the Lord, and not unto man, for ye serve the Lord God. You've got to get it out of your head that you're trying to keep up with the trends, or serve somebody else, or make somebody else pleased with you. If you can do that, then you're very personally motivated and you're very independent. So let's talk about dressing a little bit more. And that is, like I said, if you haven't done this yet, go and do it, because it's going to set your mood. And when you dress, consider color, consider style, consider the print, consider what mood it puts you in. I once took a young family to a fabric store, and this woman had daughters, and I said, okay, this is how I do it. She was wanting to know how do you choose your fabrics? And you can do it if you don't sew. You can go to a dress shop. But anyway, I would go to and they always have them lined up in colors and prints, and I would say, now what does this make you feel like? What does this make you think of? And we found a color that reminded us of the fireweed in Alaska. And I said, well, why don't you make something out of that? And I did. I made something with that fireweed color. It inspired me. It was a seasonal color. And, well, what does this remind you of? Oh, that reminds me of camping, or of walking in a park or something like that. So you wear things that evoke a mood. And you might want to go to a fabric store and just kind of study these colors and these prints and get an idea. One of the things that I like a lot is the gingham. Now, I know a lot of people call that plaid. It's not plaid, it's gingham. It's a check, and it's usually just white with a color. And those just remind me of summer picnics. And so in the summer, I want to make a dress out of gingham. So it's really important that you wear things that help your mood. Really, really important. And now let's talk about the bed and breakfast business. I don't know what you call these businesses in other countries, but in America, they're called bed and breakfast. And what they consist of, originally they were historical homes that someone owned. Someone owned a historical home, and it had a certain era of architecture inside and outside, and the furniture was all of that era. And so the family would turn it into a profit-making business where they could live there and also invite guests. And they would have a bed, a bedroom, and the next morning they would be served breakfast. Now, do you think? And there were all kinds, because you wanted to be in this bed and breakfast business. You want to be unique enough that you can attract customers, and so you're not trying to be just like all the other bed and breakfasts. There'll be some that will be seaside bed and breakfasts. There will be some that will be north side forest type log cabin bed and breakfasts. There will be some that will be historical Queen Anne era bed and breakfast because of the type of house. There will be some that will be 1920s bungalow bed and breakfast. There will be, I mean, I have heard of people who have bed and breakfasts in yurts, but everything is unique. Everybody is different, and this is the way it should be. You know, not everything should be like a Motel 6. And so when you are homemaking, here's the mentality that you could have that might help, and that is create your own style of bed and breakfast that goes with your tastes, your loves, your desires, your colors, the things that you like the most, the way that you like to live, and create create a home around that theme if you want. Now, I know that when you're raising children, you don't want to be too preoccupied with home design or anything like that. But you know, children love, if you're raising children, they love to have a nice place to live. They don't want to grow up in a crummy old joint, and then they start to notice that other people don't live like that. So you want to bring them up to a high code of living if you possibly can. And I'm not saying that you think that I think that we're better than somebody else, but what we want to do is rise above the mediocrity. Yes, we want to be better than something. We want to be better um, than the non-care. We want to care. We want to show that we're caring, and we care for our family enough to provide a lovely home for them. So right now, I am thinking that you have your own style. I have my own style, and of course, it changes all the time. I love changing it, so I'll change the color, or I'll change. It's very easy for me because all I do is throw just different blankets over things, and like in the winter time, at Christmas time, I'll put a lot of red and green out because I like it. And in the spring it will be different, and it doesn't cost me anything because it's just a matter of changing things around, having a supply of things that you just bring out and change around. Now, for your attitude for the home, I would really, really strongly suggest that you stop, you make a list. I don't make a schedule because I cannot keep up with the hour by hour list, but I make a list. And sometimes the list will translate into the next day if something takes me a little bit longer. But what I like to do is do several things on my list and then sit down, have a cup of tea, and put the little X in the box and mark off the list. The other thing that you need to really realize is that not everything runs smoothly for everyone. And somebody might give you a rude remark. And we talked about this in the last video. You might have a rude remark like, what do you think of to do all day? It just amazes me. There was someone that sat one day in my living room having a cup of tea and looked around and said, I can't for the life of me think of what you find to do all day long. And I just simply said, you know, I would really like you to come. You spend a day with me and follow me around, and we'll see. I'll answer that question for you. Of course, I really wouldn't want them in my laundry room. I really wouldn't want them because one of the remarks people make when you have a few dishes in the sink is, don't you have a dishwasher? Look, ladies, somebody's going to have to unload the dishwasher and then load it. So you're going to have that done. They think that a dishwasher just that those dishes leap into the dishwasher and they get washed because theirs are never. But here's the problem with a woman who's away from home most of the day isn't going to be cooking in the pots and pans, getting those dirty, having to wash those. She's not going to be doing all of her meals at home. Her dishes aren't going to be used as much. You know, I hear these people say, I've had a set of pots and pans for 50 years. Well, ladies, I haven't, because we go through them. Our kids learn to cook with the pots and pans, and we don't have, we had to replace them several times. We always ate so much at home, and we cooked everything. So if you're home, you're going to use things more. They're going to wear out. You're going to have to replace things. And so these people that walk in and say, I don't know what you find to do here all day. really need to spend the night with you, get up with you, and follow you around it. You might want to offer to do that to them. They'll probably turn you down. But a lot of times, because people aren't occupying their home, they don't see that there's so much to do. And another thing that they do is, if you've been working, you know this, on weekends, it's such a scramble to rush to get the housework all done up and the laundry, and then go get all the supplies and groceries for the next week or the next few days, and all the other obligations. You're so busy. And then when you decide to stay home, you can't do that anymore. You can't use Saturday and Sunday to do all that high pressure cleaning and everything. You have to space it out between from week to week. For all week long, you have to space it out. And that's why I suggest that you try to get some aprons for each day of the week. You don't have to say each day of the week, but get yourself 7 aprons eventually. 7 aprons. Just buy one every now and then until you have 7 of them. And buy a good one for Sunday that you wear over your church clothes. And when you get home, from church. And have something that's you do each day of the week, instead of doing everything on Saturday or everything every day. So that you have to space out these things. And this is like a technical exercise in learning, and everybody comes up with their own things. One of the things that we did way back in the 1970s was we joined the Sidetracked Home Executives when they first came out. They are now that's now Fly Lady, but it was different in the old days, and that was they showed you how to organize your life so that you could not feel so scattered when you got up in the morning. You would know that on Monday certain things would be done, and you would know that on Tuesday you'd do something else, and if you couldn't do it, you'd put the card back behind the next day that you wanted to do it. So they had this little card file. But you have to also realize that your home is going to be unique and different, just like a bed and breakfast, with a unique location, a unique style, a unique year, and not everybody is going to be alike. So you're going to have to get to know how you live, and how to what would be the best thing to do at the time. You have to have a sense to do that. So I hope that this video has been helpful to you, and not confusing, and that you will remember to pray and spend some time meditating on God's Word, and try to put your hand to your work and not be too worried about other people and what they think. Do it because you love it, and do it at a nice pace. Enjoy the sun coming in a window and creating a sunbeam across the floor. Listen to the clock ticking, and check the mail, and read a real letter, write a real letter, just things like that, and slow down a little bit and enjoy, because you do have a goal. You're going to make your family and your home successful. And so until next time, God bless you, and I hope you enjoyed this. And please, please leave a comment. Leave lots of comments. Thank you. Goodbye.